making the rounds on Capitol Hill. Today, Brett Kavanaugh met with more of the senators who will decide on his confirmation and answered questions about his legal rulings. Well, for more, I spoke a brief time ago with Elizabeth Slattery, a legal fellow at the Conservative Heritage Foundation. Elizabeth, thanks very much indeed for joining me. Where do you think Brett Kavanaugh is going to make the most difference?
Well, thanks for having me. You know, I think Brett Kavanaugh will be a great addition to the Supreme Court once he is confirmed. He has the type of judicial philosophy that aligns with many of the members of the court currently. He believes that judges should interpret the text of the law according to the text and constitutions according to their original meaning, their history, and the written provisions. So I think he could have an impact on some big separation of powers issues. That's something that he's written extensively about on the court and off the court in his academic work as well.
What about abortion? Because many Democrats fear that this is the start of a concerted effort to overturn abortion rights. Are they right?
Yeah, that's something we hear a lot about. The sky is going to fall, is what the left is saying. But we've been hearing this for nearly 4 decades now, since the appointment of Sandra Day O'Connor to the Supreme Court. And we really can't predict how the court is going to rule, you know, in the future on a case that's not even before them. The Supreme Court of the United States can't pluck issues out of the news and decide it wants to rule on something. So it's a bit premature to be discussing what the future of abortion is.
What about his confirmation hearing? Because he has been through tough confirmation process before. How do you think he's going to perform, and who does he need to convince?
Well, I think he's going to perform very well. As you mentioned, he's already been through a contentious hearing back in 2006 when he was confirmed to the D.C. Circuit, which is considered a stepping stone to the Supreme Court. And I think it's important for all Americans to get to know him. I think that he will be able to persuade Democrats to vote for him, in addition to hopefully all of the Republicans.
But why should Democrats vote for him?
Well, there are a number of Democrats who are in red states. They're up for re-election this fall, and they're living in Trump country. So they have to think about what their constituents want, and I think many of their constituents will want a justice like Brett Kavanaugh to be on the Supreme Court, somebody who is fair, impartial, and faithful to the Constitution, just like Neil Gorsuch, the president's first selection for the Supreme Court.
Elizabeth Slattery, thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Now, for more than 60 years, the Welsh illustrator Ralph Steadman has been adding his unique